12 to 17.
Listen to part of a lecture on astronomy.
As you know, Saturn is one of the most recognizable objects in the solar system. Its elegant rings are unlike anything else we've seen. What a lot of people probably don't realize, though, is that Saturn holds the distinction of having more moons than any other planet. So, what are these moons like? Well, that's a tricky question because they are so diverse. But one classification, albeit a rough one, is between regular satellite and irregular satellite. Moons in the first group are characterized by prograde orbits, orbits that are counterclockwise when you view it from the north pole of the planet. Also, the angle or inclination of these orbits against Saturn's equatorial plane is not very high. Irregular satellites, on the other hand, have orbits that are farther from Saturn. Their inclinations are higher, and some have retrograde orbits, orbits that go in a direction opposite to the rotation of the planet. Today, we'll focus on regular satellites, particularly Titan and Dione, and discuss their unique characteristics. So, what's so special about Titan? To start with, it's over 5,000 kilometers in diameter and accounts for 96% of the estimated mass of all of Saturn's moons combined. Just to compare, it's even larger than the planet Mercury. Other attributes that set it apart are its similarities to Earth. For example, Earth and Titan have the only nitrogen-rich atmospheres in the entire solar system. This finding has fueled speculation that Titan might have the building blocks to sustain life. Personally, I don't think it's too far-fetched, do you? Anyway, a thick layer of gases allows dense clouds to form, which protect the atmosphere from much of the sun's radiation. Yet, any solar energy that gets through the protective layer produces a faint greenhouse effect. The similarities with Earth do not stop there. The presence of wind, as well as rain and surface liquid, probably in the form of liquid methane and ethane, continually erode the surface of Titan so that rivers, valleys, and dunes have formed. Now let's talk about Dione. Dione is the second largest of Saturn's moons. Its terrain is heavily cratered, and it has an extensive network of depressions and fractures, suggesting that there may have been some tectonic activity on Dione in the past. But what's interesting is the presence of what is called wispy terrain, streaks that are transparent and don't conceal the physical features beneath. That's why they were called wispy. On December 13, 2004, the Cassini spacecraft flew by Dione and discovered that the wisps were actually bright cliffs of ice that may have been brought on by the moon's tectonic features. Some of these cliffs were several hundred meters high. Another characteristic of Dione is that the fractures and wispy terrain are mostly located on the moon's trailing hemisphere, the hemisphere that faces away from the direction of Dione's motion. Usually, these features are found on the leading hemisphere, so some scientists believe Dione was spun around when a huge meteor or debris crashed onto its surface. However, no one is positive about why this unusual phenomenon exists. No doubt, we'll learn a lot more about Saturn's moons as NASA's Cassini spacecraft probes further and further.
Now get ready to answer the questions. You may use your notes to help you answer. 12. What is the professor mainly discussing? Listen again to part of the lecture, then answer the question.
For example, Earth and Titan have the only nitrogen-rich atmospheres in the entire solar system. This finding has fueled speculation that Titan might have the building blocks to sustain life. Personally, I don't think it's too far-fetched, do you?
13. Why does the professor say this?
Personally, I don't think it's too far-fetched, do you?
Fourteen. According to the professor, what are 3 ways in which Titan is similar to the Earth? "15. What does the professor say about Dionys' terrain? "16. What do some scientists imply about Dionys' trailing hemisphere? "17. What is the professor's opinion about research on Saturn's moons?
Listen to a conversation between an academic advisor and a student.
Professor Boyle, could I talk to you for a second?
Sure, come on in. You're the student who shifted to mass communications. Melody Woods, right?
Right. I need your advice. Since you're my counselor and all, I thought you could help me pick an elective for this semester. See, the one I wanted is already full. You know, strategic media with Dr. Willis?
Yes, Dr. Willis. He's an excellent professor. But anyhow, aren't you only a sophomore? That course is designed for upperclassmen, and, well, I'm assuming you haven't completed all the prerequisites yet.
The woman at the registrar's office said I could take journalism electives in place of my general electives. And since I have 2 elective requirements this year, I thought I could go for the journalism electives instead.
That's doubtful. The thing with journalism electives is that the requirements for these subjects are generally pretty stringent. That's the reason journalism majors need Introduction to Reporting or Journalism 201 before they're allowed to take an elective like strategic media.
What if I take features writing? It's a journalism elective and is probably not as difficult as strategic media. You know, something a sophomore like me could probably handle.
Professor Mayer, he's the one offering features writing this semester. Well, he might not be crazy about the idea of letting a sophomore into his class.
So what do you suggest I do?
Since introductory courses are required anyway, your best bet would be to take that course this semester, and then go for features writing next semester.
Is it, possible for me to take both the introductory course and the features writing together? See, I don't want to waste time taking electives that are not related to my major. Also, that way, I'd be killing 2 birds with 1 stone, so to speak.
I think that would all depend on Professor Mayer. He may require you to have some experience in writing features articles. Have you worked for a school paper, perhaps?
I did, yes, in my freshman year here. I contributed to the university paper.
Oh, good. So what was writing for the university paper like for you?
To be honest, I got a lot out of it. But it took a lot out of me as well. You know, here at university, not only do they expect you to write quality stuff, they also want you to meet strict deadlines.
Okay, well, you might want to see Professor Mayer then, and let him know about your experience with the school paper. Just one thing though, Professor Mayer is known to be very strict. Then again, he genuinely cares about his students, which is why he really pushes them to do their best.
I don't really mind doing a lot of hard work. Besides, if I'm going to work in the industry one day, I'd better get used to it, I suppose. Newspapers make their reporters work hard, so I expect the training to be just as tough. Thanks for the advice, Professor Boyle.
Now get ready to answer the questions. You may use your notes to help you answer. 18. Why does the woman talk to the professor? 'Listen again to a part of the conversation, then answer the questions.
The woman at the registrar's office said I could take journalism electives in place of my general electives. And since I have 2 elective requirements this year, I thought I could go for the journalism electives instead.
That's doubtful. The thing with journalism electives is that the requirements for these subjects are generally pretty stringent. 19. Why does the professor say this? That's doubtful. 20. According to the conversation, what are 2 reasons the woman gives for choosing an elective in journalism? 21. What does the professor say about studying under Professor Mayer? 'Listen again to a part of the conversation, then answer the question. Oh, good. So what was writing for the university paper like for you?
To be honest, I got a lot out of it. But it took a lot out of me as well. You know, here at university, not only do they expect you to write quality stuff, they also want you to meet strict deadlines.
22. What does the woman mean when she says this?
To be honest, I got a lot out of it. But it took a lot out of me as well.